Today we're going to talk some more about the federal government, but...
oh, yeah. Here we go.
You need some applause, man.
So humble.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It was just, yeah, it was
It's
very
like, for me, it's like when they pop up at your birthday and start singing at the table and it's not your birthday.
Exactly.
Borders are.
We got a little bit of good news from the federal government with the DOOBIE Act to restrict marijuana-related employment and security clearance denials, and that it would have little budget impact, congressional analysts say. So a bill to limit the ability of federal agencies to use past marijuana as a factor in making employment and security clearance decisions would have a negligible economic impact on the government, the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, says. In a new report released on Tuesday, CBO scored the Dismantling Outdated Obstacles and Barriers to Individual Employment, or DOOBIE Act, that passed the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee last month. Analysts determined that the legislation would not have any significant impact on direct spending or add to the deficit if enacted, in large part because the White House Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, DNI, have already issued guidance to all federal agencies stating that past marijuana use should not automatically disqualify an applicant from federal employment or from receiving a security clearance. Such information may be relevant, but not determinative in current federal employment decisions, a new analysis says. As such, CBO expects that the provisions of the bill that would largely codify that existing guidance would not significantly affect the federal budget. You can read more. You don't really need to go through the whole thing. It just talks a little bit about the report. You can read the full article at the website. But I mean, I think this is a silver lining in general to the approach that we get to cannabis from the federal government. It kind of reminds me of years ago when James Comey was the head of the FBI, and he testified before Congress that the FBI needed to reduce their restrictions on cannabis because in order to hire the most qualified cybersecurity and counter cybersecurity experts, they couldn't hire those people without reducing their testing requirements for cannabis. So I think this is another step in the right direction. I hope this bill gets passed and signed into law. But yeah, this is Sohum with High 9 News. Kick it back to the rest of the team. See what everyone has to say about it.
Change the name. Get it passed.
I'm with you on that. The name is cringe. Beyond cringe.
They make a joke out of everything that actually matters, and they wonder why people never vote on it. They wonder why it gets pushed to the back burner every time. And this could be a bipartisan win from everybody, but would you vote on something that your party is telling you is partisan backed, or are you going to push on for the DOOBIE Act? Probably not.
I'll be honest. I almost didn't even want to read the article because of the name of the law.
Right. Yeah, I'm all for what's inside of the law, and I'm sure like a ton of people are, but there are how many people that actually lawmakers in our Congress who are old as fuck, prohibitionists, and they see DOOBIE, and they're going to be turned off by it.
That's right. I think the issue is that all the creative talent does use cannabis, and if you want highly creative people who are innovators, then you're going to have to accept that cannabis is their drug of choice. And so I think what we have with this unfortunately named legislation is that it's going to get zero traction because it's a joke. It should have been named the Talent Act and get to the point, which is you have people who use cannabis who are highly talented, who are creative, who think outside the box, and that's really what would get it across the finish line. But nobody wants to be seen as a co-sponsor of the DOOBIE Act because then it makes it seem like their whole term in Congress is a joke and unproductive.
No way, bro. They need a whole messaging campaign that says pass the DOOBIE in Congress.
Of course they're gonna it's gonna be seen as a joke. Like, we're gonna laugh at it on the front end, but we're not gonna laugh when it doesn't get passed.
Bro, Congress loves to do little acronyms and stuff like this for bills. This is right up their alley. This is everything that they live for.
Somebody was in their office giggling, and they're like,
yeah, exactly. It's because it's cute. It's funny. It's a great acronym.
Yeah, but that should be offensive to you because
it's not offensive to me because I understand how Washington works.
Industry. We are a joke to them, which is why I want y'all to quit picking who you're going to vote based on cannabis, because we are a joke to them and they don't give a fuck. But they know that we're the little goldfish in the bowl. They're going to follow the sparkly fucking object. So stop being exactly what they expect us to be, which is fucking a joke.
Borders are,
we still
are.
carry a burden of not being trustworthy. You can drink all the bourbon you want, but if you smoke a joint, you can't get a security clearance. We are not depleted uranium. People who smoke weed are honest, moral, ethical people. Let's get beyond that and talk. I mean, if you're a piece of shit, I don't care whether you smoke weed or drink or not, you're a piece of shit. You shouldn't be allowed in certain positions in our government. And the Army's figuring this out too. You can't staff our military unless you take away some of these ridiculous standards like, oh, you could never have smoked weed in the past. Just stop it. Why does that make you a bad human being? It's because we have this prohibitionist mentality inside the government. Mama said it was bad, therefore it's got to be bad. We'll make a joke out of it, until, now they legalize it. Now what the hell are you going to do? That's where we need to get to.
Let's be clear about one thing, too. The government and these federal agencies are not pushing to reduce the testing requirements for cannabis because they've suddenly come to some epiphany that cannabis users are in fact moral and intelligent people. They're doing it because it's becoming damn near impossible for them to recruit qualified candidates because everybody at some point in college or in high school or after that consumed cannabis. So this is their arm getting twisted into being a position where they're not going to be able to staff their agencies. They're not going to be able to have enough people that have security clearance unless they change their requirements.
But I would say that in general, cannabis users tend to be extremely loyal. As a lawyer, I did not represent snitches. And that's why I became a cannabis lawyer, because cannabis people didn't snitch. Meth people, coke people, they would roll over in a second. But the cannabis people are very loyal. And so that's something that needs to be taken into account, that cannabis does not make somebody, unlike cocaine users, unlike meth abusers, into somebody who really only has loyalty to the drug.
Right.
Well, I didn't find out way too late.
I don't know if you caught this. But Nick Bradley in the chat that said that one of his neighbors was trying to eat his pets.
It's a meme, Jason. It's the meme that I sent you and Nick.
I don't know. I haven't seen any
house that said my neighbor tried to eat my cat and my dog, so I caged him.
No,
I haven't seen any meme, Jenny Beth, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You have no idea who posted that. You're just going to share it and report it as news.
We weren't reporting that as news. And, like, Jason, what did that have to do with anything?
I just,